Welcome back to FM Storey. We're halfway through season 5 of our sporting save, and we've suddenly managed to pick up a bit of form. I mean, obviously, we started the season with a lot of draws, but now with the new formation, it seems to have bedded in and we seem to have turned the corner. We've got some big games coming up in this episode. We've got league games against Benfica, Porto, and the surprise title contenders Vitoria Guimaraes. We've got the knockout playoff round of the Champions League. We've got the first leg of the Taca de Portugal semi-final against the second division team. And potentially, depending on when it's scheduled, we may also have another Allianz Cup final against either Braga or Porto. So, plenty of things to look forward to. Before we do get started, though, if you do enjoy the video, please like, comment, subscribe. And without further ado, let's get going. So, the transfer deadline's come and gone, and we've got a big game coming up against Benfica in the league. We've played one game since the end of the last episode, which was against Santa Clara. Put in a really decent performance. Krastev got a lovely goal to open the scoring. Bruno Mendes came off the bench and scored practically with his first touch on his debut. And we just promoted him from the B team because the deal to sell Marcus Leonardo went through, and he opted for Bayern Munich. So we've got 56 million up front, and then potentially leading to 81 million, depending on the goals and the games he plays. This is the side we've picked to play away at Benfica. We still have the problem of not having a fully fit right wing back, but luckily now Menino and Estevez are both fit enough to play some part in the game. So Menino will probably play the first hour, and then Estevez come on to end the game, depending on obviously how the game is going. Obviously they've got that threatening looking striker pair of Sesko and Schick. Ausnes has always done pretty well against us as well, and João Mario just seems to be our worst nightmare in these games. Diamandi, going back to the keeper, wide to Rualt. Marita looking for Thiago Thomas, wide to Menino. Thomas, Sugo, Krastev. Thomas, what a goal. Lovely team move. Menino plays it into Thomas, who drops it off to Sugo. Krastev then round the corner to Thomas, and he gave the keeper no chance. Want to give it away somewhere stupid on the halfway line. Nianzi comes forward with the ball and then gives the ball away looking for Carboni. Sugo, was Thomas onside this time? He's poked it home. Yep, he was onside. And hopefully with the departure of Marcus Leonardo, Thomas will be able to step up to be the lead goal scorer. Got 2 already in this game. Got the ball in the box. Don't dive in. I thought we were actually going to give away a penalty there when Menino went in. I mean, he's beaten 2 of our biggest centre-halves in the air there. Things were looking pretty good until they got that goal with their only shot on target so far. To be honest, we've not created an awful lot after we went 2-0 up. We need to be better in the second half to make sure we come away with a victory. Right, Sugo, Marita, Thomas. Luke's first touch. Oh my god. What on earth was that? Diamandi loses the ball in the air. Sesko. Rualt comes across and just... what is he doing? Shkiri nicks the ball off Sesko. Diamandi to Marita. Nianzou, Morita looking for Thomas. Ribeiro. No. That can't be offside as well. That had to be onside. So Morita plays it to Thomas, who chests it down, plays it between the centre halves. Ribeiro's through and just smashes it past the keeper. Now we just need to cut out stupid stuff at the back. That was well inside. Right, Simovic with the throw to absolutely no one. What on earth are they playing at? Right, Martinez. Estes gives it away. Oh, come on. Surely they're not going to go and score. How on earth have we lost this game? From 2-0 up and 3-2 up, we've lost 4-3 practically the last kick of the game. Obviously, we haven't turned the corner. We're into March and it's time for the first leg of the Taca de Portugal semi-final against Leixoes. Since the collapse against Benfica, the league has gone about as well as it could have gone, and the Champions League went about as bad as it could have gone. The first game after the Benfica game, we went away to Firenze and put in a decent performance. We had picked a slightly rotated team, really comfortable victory. Guilherme Santos stepped up, scored a penalty. It was his first goal for the club. Ismail Assar added a second in the second half. And like I say, a comfortable victory, which we needed because the next two league games were going to be against Porto and Vitoria Guimaraes. Obviously, rivals for the title this season. In fact, the Porto game was the next game. And we didn't start the best. We managed to get a penalty, which Ruel missed, which I think was his second miss this season. Luckily, Carboni had a really good game and picked up a couple of goals. Saw us run out 2-0 victors, and it was a crucial victory just in terms of how the league is. Obviously, if two teams are tied, it goes on the head-to-head record. So now this season, we've got a better head-to-head record than Porto because we've drawn one and beaten them once. The next league game was away at Vitoria Guimaraes, and it was we ended up with a similar thing to Porto. We've now drawn against them and beaten them this season, so we've got a better head-to-head record if we come down to being level on points. We got off to a cracking start with a goal from Morita. They had a player sent off, which led to the penalty that Krastev tucked away. Carboni added a third, and we could have made it more secure late on, but we had a couple of goals disallowed for offside. We weren't really at any danger, any threat, and Vitoria Guimaraes seem to have kind of fallen by the wayside slightly. When you look at the league table, they've dropped a bit, and they've lost a couple of games recently. Then the most recent league game was away at AC Viseu. We have some fitness issues in the squad, but we were able to get off to a decent start. We were 2-0 up just after the half hour. They pulled a goal back just before the hour, but then didn't really threaten us after that. And if anything, towards the end of the game, it looked like it was going to be us that scored more than them. And we did suffer a big injury, though, with Tanguy Nianzou picking up an injury, and he's out, I think, for at least a month, if not two. So the league went well. The Champions League really, really didn't. We basically got battered in Amsterdam in the first leg, and Ruel missed another penalty. He's now been removed so far down the pecking order of penalties that he'll never take another one for us again. First half, nothing really happened apart from the penalty for either side. They picked up 2 goals in quick succession. We threw everyone forward and were able to pull one back, but just weren't good enough. And that was shown again in the second leg. We just didn't create enough. gave them an easy goal, and then went out with a whimper, basically. As far as the league's concerned, we're now 2 points clear of Porto, 3 points clear of Benfica. Obviously, we've got a better head-to-head record than Porto, but we don't have a better head-to-head record than Benfica. Vitoria Guimaraes now are 6 points behind, having played a game more, so they've started to drop off a bit. But hopefully, now that we don't have the Champions League games, we can just push on, make it through to the final of the Taca de Portugal. We've then got the final of the Allianz Cup coming up at the end of April, and hopefully we can go on and win the league for the 4th year in a row. Going into this first leg of the semi-final, we've got a few issues at the back. Nyanzu's out injured. Diamande is knackered. So basically we almost came close to reverting back to the back four. We've had to pull Jerison just out from the cold to play in the centre of defence. Leandro Martinez is getting the start on the left-hand side of the back three. And also Dario Sugo is injured as well. In fact, Dario Sugo is ill, sorry. So Guillermo Santos is going to play that deep line playmaker role, and hopefully we can show our class against a team from the division below and get a comfortable victory in the home leg. Krastev with a free kick to the back post, and San just heads wide. I mean, that's 2 free kicks we've seen for us and nothing from open play. San just with a free kick. Marita onto Carboni. What a finish. And we desperately needed that. We have been abysmal so far. Rolls it into Marita, who just flicks it on to Carboni, takes a touch, and then just bends it into that top corner. I mean, disappointing first half. They've quite clearly been the more dangerous looking team. We really need to pull our finger out and do something in the second half. One Musto wide to Moreira. Menino into Marita. Carboni to Goncalo Estevez. Ribeiro was offside there. No, he wasn't offside. Certainly looked offside. Maybe in the right back that was playing him on. I mean, hopefully we now can take control of the game and get another couple before the end, just to make the second leg a bit easier. Right, Martinez with the header. Menino onto Edwards, looking for Ribeiro over the top. Lovely finish in the end. We've made hard work of this first leg, but things are starting to look like they should have done. Edwards just brings it forward, lifts it over the defender. Looked like Ribeiro maybe taking it a touch too wide, but he just dinks it past the keeper at the near post. That's 3-0. Right, Martinez has gone back to get it. Onto Moreira. Looking for Carboni down the line. Can you get the ball in the box? Pulls it back to the edge of the area to Marita. She scored quite a few of those recently from the edge of the area. Another one to the tally, and 4-0 up. And it doesn't really tell the full picture of the game, because the first half we were dreadful, and for a large part of the second half we've not been much better. But that is us. 4-0 victory in the first leg puts us in a really good position to get into the final, and obviously none of the rest of the big clubs are left in the competition, so if we don't win Taca de Portugal this year, then there's got to be serious questions asked about us. But hopefully we can just continue this form on, keep the league form rolling on before we get to that second leg. It's time for the youth intake. Since this first leg of the semi-final, we've played 3 games in the league. We've won 2 of them comfortably, and we had a disappointing draw away at Rio Ave. What it means in terms of the league is that we are top of the league. We're 3 points clear of Benfica, who've played the same number of games as us, and we're 6 points clear of Porto, who've got a game in hand. So hopefully we can keep this little run of form going, keep winning games, and hopefully we'll win the title again for the 4th year in a row. In terms of the youth intake, it's only a 3.5-star good intake. It wasn't a great youth preview that came through, and obviously there's no elite talents. Last year there was the Brazilian striker that came through that was elite talent, so we've got 3 top talents and then a few good talents, but I mean 2.5-star potential isn't great, and even the top talents 3.5-star potential, so I think we're probably looking at a really disappointing intake where probably none of them are going to be good enough to ever at any point play in the first team. So the first one's Pietra, who's a centre half who has basically no technical skills and barely any mental skills, and for a centre half as well, he's 5'10", he's not great in the air. Don't think he's going to develop into anything much. The next player is Martin Stringfellow, who's an English centre forward. I mean, there's not much there, is there? Again, I seriously doubt he's going to make it to the first team. So, I mean, especially when you look at it in terms of the centre forwards. I mean, we've got Thiago Thomas and Carboni, who are both 3.5-star potential already. You've got Rodrigo Ribeiro, you've got Chimiti, you've got Bruno Mendes, you've got Correa, you've got Hardy, and the one that's not there, Agustin Manzon, who's in the B side at the moment as well, who we signed last summer. If he makes it into the first team, then we're going to be in some serious struggle, I think. And then the final top talent is Karamiu, who's a centre midfielder or a defensive midfielder. Slightly more promising, and there's a bit more technicals and a bit more mentals to him. Very little physical again, and whether he can develop into that player, he's probably the most likely to develop into a first team squad player. But I don't think it would be anything much more than that. So all in all, a pretty disappointing intake of youth players like last season. What we might find is during the summer we may go hunting around South America, maybe through Africa, and see if we can find some players to bring in to bolster up the youth squads that are going to be good enough to potentially develop into first team players. And that's the end of this episode. Join us next time as we go for our 4th title in a row. We've got an Allianz Cup final. We've got the second leg of the semi-final of the Taca de Portugal as well. So we could end up with a quadruple of domestic trophies, having already won the Super Taca. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.